This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
Good evening to you, and we begin tonight with a Storm Team 6 alert. RTV6 is working to keep you up to speed on this winter weather mix hitting the state.
And right off the top here at 7, we're going to give you a closer look with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. Kevin.
And here's the word of the evening. Caution is the word. Temperatures have come below freezing now. Most locations. Roads are definitely slick. They have been for a while north of Indianapolis. This is a great photo of what's happening up in Grant County. Dan Gadbury sharing that with us. All this snow covering the ground there. They've had about an inch of snow in West Lafayette as well. This is heavy sleet that has just rolled through the downtown area of Indianapolis. I can also point out Butler basketball game is delayed. They've got a leak in the roof at Hinkle Fieldhouse, so that televised game is delayed until they can get that fixed. North and east of Indy, there's your sleet, snow, mixing with freezing rain as you come to the south. That's all east and northeast of Indy. Look what's not to the southwest. We'll see a break in the wintry mix here, give us a chance to kind of reset. I think as temperatures, though, stay below freezing overnight, we'll still have lingering issues, although I think the heaviest batch of precip has rolled through. Temperature down 1 more degree in Indy, 31, 32 in Columbus. You see in the 20s now to the north for the moment. Terre Haute and Bloomington are above the freezing mark. 8 o'clock, snow to the north. There's your wintry mix of sleet, some freezing rain. That lets up a bit by 11 o'clock. I'll take you through the rest of the overnight hours, let you know what to expect for the morning coming up.
Kevin, thank you. Hey, you may have seen them. Plow trucks have been out salting the streets and interstates today to get ready for this weather. City drivers reported at 11 o'clock last night and plan to stay on the streets in 12-hour shifts through tomorrow at 11 a.m. INDOT crews will also stay out overnight. The forecast shifts and there is more snow. Those drivers may stay out even longer to continue to treat and plow the roads.
A Pendleton mom is taking action for her son tonight, saying there is a lack of resources for LGBTQ teens in Madison County.
RTV6's Megan Santorum is working for you to find out why she says more support is needed and how the community is responding.
This is 15-year-old Gage Downey. His mom says he does well in school and is a talented cheerleader, but she says things haven't been easy for him.
My son tried to commit suicide almost 2 weeks ago because he felt so alone. He didn't feel like he could reach out to anyone.
When Gage left the hospital, Downey says they told her to find an LGBTQ support group for him. When she started looking for one, she didn't find much. So she took to Facebook and says the response was overwhelming. Realizing Gage isn't alone, she made it her mission to get an LGBTQ youth support group in Pendleton.
He has to have the support, and I'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. So I don't care if my child is straight, gay. It doesn't matter. Every kid needs to know that there's somewhere they can reach out to.
The principal at Pendleton Heights High School tells us they used to have a gay-straight alliance group, but it hasn't been active for several years. She says parents, students, and teachers wanting to get involved can contact school leaders. Downey hopes that by sharing their story, they can inspire others to get involved. Working for you, Megan Santorum, RTV6.
A Tri-West high school teacher and football coach accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a student appeared in court this afternoon for the first time.
Tyler Bruce is charged with child seduction and obstruction of justice. He did not comment to RTV6 when asked about the charges. Wednesday in court, the judge entered a plea of not guilty for Bruce and advised him of his rights. The judge also reminded him not to contact the alleged victim in the case. Bruce is currently on unpaid suspension with the Northwest Hendricks School Corporation. The district is taking steps to fire the teacher following charges for child seduction and obstruction of justice.
Court documents say he solicited illicit Snapchat photos from a 17-year-old student and touched her under her clothing on several occasions. And prosecutors say Bruce told the 17-year-old no one would believe her if she reported him. When deputies got a warrant for Bruce's phone, they discovered the SIM card was missing, which is why he was charged with the obstruction of justice. This case also led to criminal charges against Tyler Bruce's boss at Tri-West High School. Former principal Adam Benner is due in court on March 3rd. Benner is charged with failure to report allegations of child abuse to law enforcement or the Department of Child Services. That's a misdemeanor charge, so Benner received a summons to appear in court and will not be arrested at this time.
Housing history can come back to haunt renters. As RTV6's Troy Washington explains, there are efforts underway to help those who might be struggling to find a place to live.
Though the Jordan family has never been put out of any place, they've been haunted by a mark on their housing history.
It just doesn't make sense to me. If we've gone and changed the laws to help, people who've had criminal backgrounds so that they can get a job, well, what about those of us who already have a job and just want to get a roof over our head?
The Jordan family faced an eviction filing 6 years ago, and today they are still having a tough time when it comes to renting a home. The Jordans are a model family. Roselle Jordan, a Navy and Army vet who served his country for 9 years. He and his wife Rochelle have 5 children. They keep trying to put the past behind them, but they are denied in the application process, or they have to pay double and triple the deposit anytime they try to move.
People just don't understand the extent of the problem that we have.
According to Amy Nelson over at the Fair Housing Center of Central Indiana, it'll likely take legislation to give families like the Jordans a break.
You may not have done anything wrong. The filing of the eviction upon you may not have been justified. It may have been retaliatory.
She says, in fact, House Bill 1103, known as the Eviction Expungement Bill, didn't pass, but would have allowed in certain situations for renters to start fresh, a second chance some tenants deserve to get unstuck. The Jordans say they aren't giving up, but something must change.
I think at this point, some people need to be fighting for those who are going to possibly maybe rent their entire lives.
Working for you on the East Side, Troy Washington, RTV6.
And each day, RTV6 sets out to tell stories like this one in our efforts to help you make change. Now, if you need help solving a problem, connect with us by giving us a call or sending a message to Working For You at RTV6.com.
The impeachment proceedings are over.
And the trial ended with senators voting to acquit the president of both articles of impeachment.
The Constitution requires that no person can be convicted with the concurrence of 2/3 of the body present, and the vote didn't even come close to that.
The outcome was expected with a Republican majority. Trump is only the third president in U.S. history to face an impeachment trial.
Just into the RTV6 newsroom, legendary actor Kirk Douglas has died at the age of 103. His son Michael Douglas released a statement in the last hour. Douglas says his father, quote, leaves a legacy in film that will endure for generations to come, and a history as a renowned philanthropist who worked to aid the public and bring peace to the planet, end quote. Kirk Douglas won multiple Academy Awards and received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Coming up here on RTV6, her daughter was killed by gunfire that also wounded her 3-year-old grandson. Now this passionate grandmother is calling for justice and an end to the violence.
And a bit later, of course, there are health concerns surrounding the coronavirus. Now how businesses are also dealing with the fallout. That's still to come when the news at 7 continues on RTV6.
Make a donation or volunteer today.
Tonight, RTV6 is working for you with a call to action.
A grieving mother is pleading for help in getting justice for her 26-year-old daughter who was shot and killed just days after Christmas.
Alexis Edwards' 3-year-old son was also shot, but he survived. Her mother, Ruby Berry, says Alexis left another son behind as well. Berry says Alexis was shot after an exchange that started on social media. There have been no arrests in the case yet. Berry says this should be a wake-up call to the entire city.
This was a woman, a 26-year-old woman that was gunned down in broad daylight with a 3-year-old that the person attempted to kill as well. This just doesn't affect, a couple people. This affects, everyone, the families, friends. Her children have to grow up without a mother.
IMPD tells us detectives are still actively working this case. They say they hope this story will encourage someone new to come forward with a tip that could lead to an arrest. If you know anything, we have information on how to share what you know, even anonymously, in this story on the RTV6 app.
Coming up, so you think you know who's going to win the Oscars? Well, put your money where your mouth is. How people are gambling for the first time in Indiana over the Academy Awards.
North and east of Indianapolis, up I-69, trickiest travel right now, along Interstate 70 to the east. We're getting a little break for now. What to expect in the morning coming up.
This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
2 more flights carrying evacuated United States citizens from China are expected later this week as the world continues to deal with the coronavirus outbreak.
Yeah, last night 2 other flights arrived in California. These passengers will all spend time in federal quarantine. For many, that will mean staying on a military base for up to 14 days.
The government provides all the arrangements for food and shelter, but it does not come for free. If an evacuee has health insurance, the government will bill them. Evacuees will also be billed for their flight out of China, and they'll have to make their own travel arrangements once the quarantine ends.
The coronavirus outbreak has multiple effects. It's impacting businesses both in China and the U.S.
Elizabeth Ruiz talked with one company that is now concerned about prices for a holiday staple.
There is a major disruption of the supply of these goods because right now everything is at a standstill in China.
With travel restrictions in parts of the country in quarantine, NYU professor of economics Nicholas Economides says the coronavirus outbreak has ceased production of many goods made in China.
How long will the disruption last? We have no idea.
That includes products like car parts, laptops, and iPhones, and some U.S. companies are facing an economic hit. This past weekend, Apple announced it had closed all of its corporate offices and retail stores in China.
Out of the total production of the world, which is 80 trillion, China is only 12. So there are substitution, but there are certain areas in which almost everything is produced in China, and that's where you will see the biggest impact.
One company that heavily relies on China is Phantom Fireworks. It's one of the largest suppliers of fireworks for Independence Day.
We've had shipping and production issues, but nothing on this level. Nothing at this level.
Executive Vice President Alan Zoldan says this time of year is critical for the production and shipping of their fireworks, but all operations are currently shut down, meaning there could be a shortage of supplies once 4th of July rolls around.
As these weeks go by and we get into the end of February, beginning or middle part of March, we are only sitting with about 30-some% of our orders shipped, maybe another 10% sitting on the docks in China. And so that means that there will be a pretty serious shortage if this continues.
Big decisions will need to be made, and it's possible the high demand for fireworks could impact the price for consumers. Zoldan says the entire world relies on China for fireworks, and few producers exist outside of the country.
It would take years for any other country to even get to the level that China does, because they have been doing it for 1,200 years.
Even though Zoldan says the situation is unprecedented for the company, he's holding on to hope that the virus will be contained and production will begin again soon.
If we can get over this coronavirus and then the factories can get themselves free in a fairly quick manner, that we still have a window of opportunity here, and keeping my fingers crossed that we'll be able to thread the needle, I guess.
In New York, I'm Elizabeth Ruiz reporting.
Taking a look at some of the snow one of our crews drove through earlier on I-65 in Lafayette. Kevin Gregory joins us now with a look at what it looks like in your area.
From Lafayette on the roads, you see the accumulation around an inch, and they likely had some sleet as well. And I followed that up with Cassidy Nay's photo from Tippecanoe County, and you can see a cover of snow. That's been rare, hasn't it? We haven't seen a cover of snow in a while. Let's go to McCordsville now, thanks to Vicki Swadner. You may not know what you're looking at here. This is trying to look out the window, and you can see the ice that's kind of blurred the vision there, and that's pretty common this evening anywhere north of Interstate 70 and even dropping a little more to the south. The advisory is in effect until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, although the precip intensity and coverage is about to let up. Doesn't mean that we won't have slick conditions through the overnight with additional light wintry mix and the fact that our temperatures continue to fall into the upper 20s. Off to the east and northeast, this is the solid area that was producing some heavier sleet, bursts of snow and rain, freezing rain as well, moving off to the east. Kind of take a closer look at that. Muncie, Marion, you're getting a little break. Hartford City not too long from now, and Portland and Winchester as well. And a nice little break to the south and west of Indianapolis, but there'll be more that fills in a little bit later. 33 in Spencer and Bloomington, 34 in Bedford. That's helpful on the roadways, right at the freezing mark in Greensburg. As I had mentioned through this hour and a half here with the evening news, we've watched road temperatures, especially from Indianapolis north, go below freezing. Bridges were already there in many spots. 9 o'clock tonight, still most active northern half of the state. Then we see another little break. As we go through the overnight, the intensity is much lighter, but any continuation of light freezing rain or some snow will leave slick spots in the morning. Looking at a total of 1 to 2 inches, maybe an isolated higher amount north of Indy, less than an inch to the south. First thing in the morning, Good Morning Indiana's there at 4:30. You can check the app to see if there are any 2-hour delays for your kids before getting up and at it tomorrow morning. Storm Shield app is great for this weather, keep you up to date and in control of the radar. Any wintry mix confined to the morning will linger, will let up, and then come back, I think, in spots during the afternoon. Temperatures only around freezing. Tomorrow night into Friday morning, chance for some light snow again, a nice little dusting potentially. That could leave some slick spots for the Friday morning commute. Friday, we're dry after that. Temperatures warm to about 33 or 34. Here's your forecast. Be very careful if you don't have to get out and drive here in the next few hours. Just call it a night and relax. During the day tomorrow, chance for that wintry mix. Dry Friday. Over the weekend, 35 Saturday, maybe a little rain snow mix, more likely snow. Then we're back into the 40s Sunday through Tuesday and Wednesday of next week.
So we could have a 1, 2, 3 punch coming up here. Yeah,
just like that.
Right. All right, thanks, Kevin, for that.
So who do you think will win Oscars at Sunday's Academy Awards?
Well, perhaps you're in an office pool or just filling out a ballot for fun.
But how about putting some money on the movie line?
Well, now you can. Brad Brown with a closer look now.
Since the 1st of September, sports gambling has been legal in Indiana, and it's already big business. Hoosier bettors have already wagered nearly $430 million, the biggest chunk of that going toward football and basketball.
As Oscar Sunday approaches, movie fans now have a chance to get in on the gambling game. Indiana is one of the states where you can legally place bets on all 24 categories for this Sunday's show. You could head down to the sports book to do it, or right here from the couch on your mobile phone, see if your picks lead to a big payoff this Sunday.
There are some huge favorites in some of the biggest categories. Joaquin Phoenix and Renee Zellweger in the Best Actor and Actress race. Both won at the Golden Globes, but there is some money to be made if someone else would win. Leonardo DiCaprio, a $10 bet would pay a $400 profit. It's the same story in the supporting acting categories. Brad Pitt and Laura Dern are heavy favorites on the betting line. Pretty much any other winner would add up to a nice payout. It gets awfully deep into the weeds after that. If you'd like to put some money on visual effects, sound editing, makeup, and hair, yeah, they'll take your money for all of that. And don't forget the popular parlay bets. You pair up multiple winners for a chance at a bigger payoff.
As a reminder, always wager responsibly, and remember, your safest bet is to simply sit this one out. You'll have more money for snacks next time you go to the theater.
And the closest race looks to be for Best Picture. 1917 is a slight favorite on most lines to win Sunday's biggest award.
And New Jersey is the only other state taking legal wagers on the Oscars. Bettors there played more than $1 million on last year's show.
Well, you can find out who takes home the Oscars this Sunday only on RTV6. Our coverage begins with the red carpet show at 6:30 p.m., followed by the 92nd Academy Awards live at 8 o'clock Sunday night.
Still ahead, more changes are on the way for the Indigo Red Line. What's in store to improve the process?
That story along with a final check of your Storm Team 6 Alert Day forecast next, right here.
Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries. Live life comfortably.
Right now on RTV6, Indigo is making some changes to the red line to try to improve things.
Firstly, in the coming months, Indigo is going to install audible crosswalk signals at all red line stations to assist riders with visual impairments to cross the street. Secondly, Indigo is replacing the rubber medians along College Avenue and Meridian with concrete medians. Call 6 Investigates first reported that to you last fall. And the groundhog predicted an early spring.
And new data shows that may be just the case. Many countries experienced their warmest January ever recorded, and the average global temperature for the month was also a record high, just narrowly beating out January of 2016.
Northern European countries and Russia saw the biggest spikes. Finland recorded its hottest ever January day with temperatures over 50 degrees throughout the country.
All weather's local, and it's winter right now here. Winter mix of freezing rain, sleet, and snow diminishes here for a little while. The roads are already very slick. Temperatures below freezing. Be extremely cautious.
Be careful out there.
Well, thanks for making RTV6 your choice for news.
We'll see you back here tonight at 11.